here we have Matt Walsh speaking out against Jeffree Star, telling his base to not trust them, and that they're not on the side of the right because they're a trans person. When I had did a video about them, I had said that there's going to be some right wingers that are going to speak out and not accept them, just like how they tell Caitlyn Jenner how much they hate her, even though she speaks for the right or speaks on behalf of the right.
Today for our daily cancellation, I must again, unfortunately, cancel people on my own side, or at least theoretically on my own side. These are the conservatives who, over the past few days, have been frantically applauding their latest hero, their newly elected spokesman, their trendiest new conservative champion, Jeffree Star. And for those unfamiliar, as I was until 2 days ago, Star is a social media influencer and owner of a popular, I think, cosmetics brand. Star also enjoys dressing like a woman. But this flamboyant cross-dressing makeup salesman earned applause from many on the right, including prominent figures on the right, when he appeared on a podcast and said this.
I'm not into all the other I think.
What other
The they and them.
Yeah.
And all that extra that we added during the pandemic because everyone was so bored on their houses. They just started to make up more and
more stuff?
Yeah. That's where the conservatives like me because I'm just real.
Yeah, you do have a conservative
you're not
vibe to
they
you.
and them. You're trans, you're male or you're female.
And you're standing on that.
Get so mad when I say that. How are you a they? What the does that mean? It's stupid is what it is.
Yeah.
But you need someone like me that looks like me to say it. Because if you say it, it turns into you're homophobic. You hate trans people. You hate gays. And it's just how you feel. You don't hate anyone. You just think it's stupid.
Well, they is actually is a word that can be used for a singular pronoun, talking about a single person. Like, if somebody asks, you can ask somebody, hey, what are they doing today? You could be talking about, a sibling or somebody else. Or you could be talking about a group as well. Hey, same sentence. Hey, what are they doing? And, you could be talking about a group of friends. And it works both ways. It was more used as a singular pronoun in the past. And then that changed, but now it's changing again and being used again as a singular pronoun because, things change all the time.
Now that, what you just heard, makes Jeffree Star based, apparently. He's based now. He said one thing that conservatives like, and they were on the scene with pom-poms in no time. And yes, Star is right that the they-them stuff is BS, of course, obviously. But the problem, one of them anyway, is that he rejects non-binary while affirming trans. He says that the only valid categories are trans, male, or female. And to drive that point home, he made another video responding to the backlash against his anti-they-them commentary, where he reiterated his support for and belief in transgenderism. Here it is.
I just went on and I saw a few outlets saying that I'm transphobic. Jeffree Star, who has 5 transgender employees. I have over 100 employees of all different ethnicities. A brand that is inclusive to the entire world. What we're not going to do is lie. So if you posted an article saying anything like that, you better delete it, Miss Thing, because I'm coming.
You can be trans and still be transphobic. There is a lot out there. I mean, look at Caitlyn Jenner. She's really transphobic. And she's a trans person. You can also, have black people that are racist towards black people. Look at Candace Owens and Jesse Lee Jesse Lee Peterson. And, gay people that hate gay people, Black Cub and Republicans. You got that one dude that is having twins. He's on the right. Made a video why he left the left. I can't remember. Dave Rubin, that's what it is. Yeah, gay dude. hates gay people. All the token minorities on the right, they're just there to spew hate against the group that they quote unquote belong to make it seem like the right wing aren't bigots.
All I said was I don't agree with pronouns. That's it. So you know how Cardi B sued that woman and, well, the lady don't have any money, but Cardi B won, allegedly, a lot of money from the lawsuit, even though also shout out to so many amazing, beautiful transgender people and the LGBT community in my DMs, writing me. Just thank you.
I'm sorry about that. This is just too much. Between this guy and the Gloria Johnson tweet, it's just the amount of brain cells we're losing. It's like the effect of a concussion. We are all now concussed effectively because of the level of stupidity that we've been forced. Well, that I have forced you to.
That's how I feel every time I watch one of your videos. A slight bit of a concussion, and I gotta go rest in order to recoup my brain cells.
Encounter today. But very inspiring response from this right-wing warrior who desperately defends himself from the transphobia claims by bragging about all the trans people he employs. I suppose it just goes to show that Democrats really are the real transphobes. Of course.
I don't understand. How are the Democrats the transphobes? Because this dude does a typical right-wing thing and be like, no, I'm not a bigot. I know so-and-so, or I have, it's like, what racist people say. I'm not racist. I have a black friend, or I'm not homophobic. I know gay people. It's like, yeah, you're still homophobic, or you're still a bigot just because you have some token minorities that you hang out with.
Check back in about 5 years and people on the right will be defending transgenderism and non-binary, but then claiming that trans speciesism is where they draw the line. And somehow that position will be applauded as not only correct, but based.
No, nobody's going to be like, yeah, trans speciesism is a thing, because that is not a thing and it's never going to happen.
This is how it works as the Overton window continues its relentless march to the left. What was a fringe left-wing view yesterday suddenly becomes mainstream today, and the fringe today will be mainstream tomorrow.
Oh, I hope that happens, because, on the fringe of left-wing ideology, it's, universal health care, housing as a right, homeless people should be able to have live in a house, like everybody else, they should be able to have their own house. The end to drug wars, police reform, all those things are pretty fringe, a living wage. Those are, fringe left-wing ideologies. Hopefully, they do become the mainstream, because those things need to happen sooner than later.
Meanwhile, the oblivious faction of conservatives, a rather large group, unfortunately, continue to embrace any position that is not at this moment on the extreme left-wing fringe. As long as it's not the most extreme version of leftism, they embrace it. Which means that tomorrow they will embrace whatever is on the extreme left-wing fringe today. Jeffree Star's conservative defenders have told me that, well, we should accept him into the fold because he is, they say, mostly right about the gender issue. But he's not mostly right. He's not even in the neighborhood of right. He's not in the planet. I don't know what planet he's even on, let alone the neighborhood. He believes that a person can identify as and actually be a member of the opposite sex. He affirms transgenderism. It's just that he prefers to stick with the term transgender to describe those people and believes that non-binary is extra. And
yeah, that's where he's wrong, or that's where they're wrong. Yeah. Trans people exist. They've existed all throughout history, all throughout time, and now people have been able to figure out different labels that they want to be called, and now those are being used, and there is nothing wrong with that. It doesn't cause the downfall of society, no matter how much Matt Walsh, paranoid mind, thinks that's going to happen, it's not.
Redundant. And he's right that it is redundant. As non-binary versus transgenderism, that is a distinction without a difference. That doesn't make him more right or closer to the truth. He's not suddenly a defender of truth and tradition because he prefers to stick with the craziest left-wing ideas from yesterday rather than adopting the craziest ideas from today.
I'd rather adopt the crazier left-wing ideologies of the future than the crazy right-wing ideology of the past, like that racial mixing shouldn't happen, that black people and women shouldn't have rights, or that Christian ideology should be the governing tool of the nation. Yeah, those things should never be embraced.
In fact, non-binary isn't even really crazier than transgenderism. These terms are, again, redundant. They are versions of the same nonsense.
No, they're not the same version. A trans person is somebody who has body dysmorphia and is in the wrong body, while a non-binary person is somebody who doesn't feel they're in the wrong body, just doesn't adhere to the binary standard of male or female. And that is pretty different.
Prefers using one term for the nonsense rather than two. This apparently is enough to make him our generation's William F. Buckley.
And I find it funny how he wants to talk about this all being nonsense when this dude is a Christian. Religion is one of the biggest nonsense belief systems you can take up. The dude believes in fairy tales, bases his life around that, and then wants to claim everybody else is believes in nonsense or is crazy or something based on his own fairy tales. That's true utter nonsense right there.
Left here is using a classic manipulation technique. You make an outrageous demand so that a slightly less outrageous demand seems reasonable by comparison. We should all be familiar with this strategy. It's the oldest one in the book, right? Kids use it all the time. Just a few nights ago, my son came up to me after dinner and said, "Daddy, can we all go get ice cream?" Now, asking me to load all 6 kids in the car after dinner when I already have my sweatpants and slippers on definitely qualifies as an outrageous demand. That's one thing they know.
Are you telling me you're so lazy you can't put your pants on or even just get online and order ice cream? Man, you're a person that makes millions of dollars. Don't tell me you can't even order ice cream online. That's some true laziness right there.
Once the slippers come out, I'm not going anywhere. We are here for the night. So I said no, and then he immediately followed it up with, "Okay, well then can we just watch a movie?" Now in that case, I knowingly allowed myself to be suckered by the strategy and I let them watch a movie. But on a cultural level, in the battle with the left, we cannot be so easily duped by these kinds of tricks. Just because non-binary is arguably a little weirder than trans, that doesn't make trans legitimate or any closer to legitimate than it was before. Celebrating.
What is weird is the right wing's obsession over other people and how they want to live their lives. It's like they obsess over this more than the people themselves. And, sometimes there's a reason why. Sometimes it's just because they're fascists who seek the extermination of the people that they hate. And Matt Walsh is one of those.
Jeffree Star on this point. It's like if somebody was beating you over the head with a baseball bat, and then Jeffree Star ran in and said, "No, don't beat him over the head with a baseball bat. Just stomp on his face with your boot instead. Here, I'll help." Now, it's true that getting stomped is probably a little better than being bludgeoned with a bat, but does that automatically make the person stomping on your face an ally? Would you applaud this person as they kick you in the skull and say, wow, this guy's great. We should invite him to CPAC. No, he's still your enemy. He's still trying to kill you, just perhaps in a slightly less efficient manner.
Trans people are trying to kill right-wingers. That is hilarious. What group of people is passing bills to erase the existence of trans people? Right-wingers. Who's not passing bills to erase the existence of right-wingers? Trans people. You know, hey, personally, I would be passing bills to make it illegal to be a right-wing bigot. I mean, seriously, if you want to be a Nazi, you can do that in jail. But hey, that's just me. Are trans people doing that? No. So, no, this dude isn't seeking to kill right-wingers, nor are trans people. But there are right-wingers seeking to kill trans people. Don't let this guy, confuse you or try to convince you otherwise. It's the right wing that are out to commit genocide.
See, the curse of the big tent conservatism approach is that now our tent is filled with people who are directly trying to undermine our cause. A big tent doesn't do you a lot of good when you're inviting people under it who will just try to rip it down and leave all of us standing in the rain, which is what's happening.
And this is where Matt Walsh is like, yeah, the right wing is supposed to be exclusive. We're only supposed to allow a certain group of people into the right wing with a certain mindset. If you're not of that certain group, but you have that mindset, you're not allowed. Because look at this. You got a trans person who wants to be right wing, who speaks with right wing ideology against trans people. And you got right-wingers like Matt Walsh who's like, nope, I still hate this person. Matt Walsh and other people like him, all they want is white, cis, Christian people to be on the right. Anybody else is not allowed.
One last point on all this. Starr says that we need someone who looks like him to say the things that he says, because if we say it, that is, if normal people who aren't cross-dressing circus performers say it, then we will be called bigots and transphobes. Well, except this logic is refuted by his follow-up video in which he defends himself against accusations of bigotry and transphobia. So it turns out that tokenism is not actually an effective strategy here. We cannot insulate ourselves from criticism by putting our arguments into the mouths of people who fall into identity categories that the left usually celebrates.
Yeah, and here he is pointing out how the right does use token minorities as a way to try to further their goals, and that people on the left don't really fall for it. Yeah, I see people like Candace Owens and that one gay dude. I don't know why I can't remember his name. Dave Rubin. I see people like them, and I'm like, yeah, these people are just traitors. They fight for oppression while pretending that oppression isn't happening, or that only the right wing is being oppressed. And it's like, nope, we can see through you, and we're not gonna fall for that.
Okay, I don't know how conservatives keep thinking this strategy will work. It never has. It never will. Doesn't work. Like, can you give me an example of someone who's in one of these identity groups and they make a conservative, well, not even conservative, they make a slightly less left-wing argument, and the left goes, well, normally I disagree with that, but this person is an identity group that we support, so I think we'll take it into consideration. I
mean, it has worked in some cases, but those people, I wouldn't honestly say are left-wingers. They're just people on the right who think they're left-wingers, or just pretending to be left-wingers, like Dave Rubin, Kanye, Elon Musk. How many of those videos of why I left the left videos can you find? All those people were just pretenders.
Has that ever happened? Is there one example of that working? No, it doesn't, because the left values ideological conformity over all else. Their vision of diversity is one in which people of all races, ethnicities, sexual orientations, except white males, and made-up genders come together to mark.
Yeah, I mean the left is fine with white males, just not, people that are seeking to oppress others. Yeah, that's when the problem happens. I mean, no matter what group you're in, if you are seeking to oppress, you become the enemy.
March in lockstep and speak in unison. Anybody who misses a beat or forgets a line or tries to improvise will be cast out as not only a bigot, but a traitor as well. See, as it turns out, the people from protected classes who disagree with the left are not given softer treatment or a better chance at a fair hearing.
Why should somebody who is showing bigotry be given a pass just because they're of that group? I mean, if a black person starts trying to oppress black people, it's not like, oh yeah, you're black, so that's okay. Or a trans person talking about, doing away with gender affirming care. It's not like, yeah, we're gonna, side with you because you want to erase the existence of trans people because you're a trans person. It's like, no. If you show bigotry, you're gonna be called out about that and get kicked out and go to the side that you're truly for, the right wing. Yeah. The left is inclusive, but not to the point of accepting intolerance. The tolerance of intolerance just leaves to a world of intolerance.
If anything, they're shouted down all the louder and hated all the more, because on top of saying the things that the left hates, there's also the element of betrayal. Because the left says, well, you're supposed to belong to us because of your identity. That doesn't make the heretic more credible in the eyes of the left. It just makes them a heretic.
Oh, yeah, because if you're a bigot, and you can go be a bigot with all the other bigots. That's how it is. I mean, he seems to understand that the left doesn't tolerate intolerance, because that's how the right is. If the more intolerant you are on the right, the more influence and fame and stuff you can get, because that's all what the right is about. Being as intolerant as possible, because that's what they love. They love their racism, they love their sexism, they love their transphobia, and any other form of bigotry that they can come up with.
Just look at Jeffree Star. He agrees with the left on nearly everything, and he's living exactly the kind of lifestyle they promote, but they still exile him for mildly criticizing one small facet of gender ideology.
Well, I wouldn't say everything. Just agreeing with, like, one thing doesn't mean everything. I don't know what kind of definition he uses for everything.
Well, that doesn't make him our ally or our friend. But it does prove that this whole, you need people like me to make this argument claim is moot. No, we don't need people like him to make the argument. We don't need a cross-dressing trans activist with neck tattoos and copious amounts of makeup to make the argument. You know who we need? This goes back to the beginning of the show. We need normal people.
Either way, it wouldn't work. You can have, thousands upon thousands of people speaking out against, trans rights or the rights of black people and such, and it still wouldn't make you right. All these people still deserve the same rights, no matter what you think. Um, that's how the world always goes. The world always gets more progressive. More and more people will always gain the rights that they deserve, no matter how much right wingers want to bring it back to like 19 the 1900s or 1800s or even 1700s, where it was just, you know, Christian men having all the power, being able to lynch black people and assault women all they want and get away with it. It's never going to be like that. Um, they can whine and cry, but the world will always change.
Normal people like you, normal, common sense people who live normal lives and dress and act like normal people, we need them to speak up and be advocates. Because after all, normalcy is what we're trying to defend, isn't it?
Yeah, you're trying to defend normalcy. Yeah, worshipping a fictional character in the sky is completely normal. Being obsessed with what people have in their pants or the type of clothing they wear is normal. Oh, yeah. The right wing is completely normal. Yeah, being obsessed with the skin color of people and who those people marry, that's completely normal. Yeah, Matt Walsh, you are 100% normal.
The best defender of normalcy is a normal person. And not just one normal person, but legions of them. An army of normal people demanding a return to sanity and common sense and basic moral decency. Jeffree Star is not ever going to be an effective champion for that cause. But you can be. And that is why Jeffree Star and his conservative defenders are today canceled.
Hear that, guys? Jeffree Star is canceled. Matt Walsh, the guy who hates cancel culture, canceling a person. I always love his cancel culture segments. Well, if you like my content, drop a like, a comment, or subscribe. Share the video far and wide, and look down in my descriptions for some links if you'd feel like donating to help my channel grow even further. Peace.